Hi guys, welcome back to this video. I'm going to be doing a video today all about our like breastfeeding journey, and sorry, she's in the video too, so if you hear little noises, she just ate, so she's like milk drunk, sleepy, grunting, you know, all the normal baby stuff. But I want to do a video on our breastfeeding journey, as well as answer some of your guys' questions, talk about kind of some great things that have been happening, some struggles, some things that I've learned, just a comprehensive video on breastfeeding. So it's going to be a little bit bouncy back and forth, but so I just want to start first talking about kind of my breastfeeding journey as well as struggles. So basically, for about 14 weeks pregnant, I had colostrum. Like, I was already leaking, not leaking like through my shirt or like dripping or anything like that, just like when you would like TMI, but when I would squeeze my nipple, I would have some colostrum come out. So after I gave birth, I had not a lot of colostrum, but I had a decent fair amount for her. It took 4 days for my milk to come in, and I had the typical, like when my milk came in, obviously I was really engorged and full and everything like that. And since then, I have had an oversupply of milk, and I said this in my 1 month update video on her. I'm not saying these things as like, oh, I have an oversupply, like look at me. I'm so happy that I have so much milk, but it's also come with some struggles and things too, so I will touch base on that. Another little disclaimer is this is just information that I have researched, learned from my own research and talking to lactation consultants. Every baby's different, every lactation consultant's gonna have different information, every mom's different, so some of this stuff is probably not gonna apply to you. It may not, and it doesn't mean that it's right, wrong, whatever. This is just what I'm doing. This is my information that I have learned, so whatever works for you, and what not. Anyways, just had to get that out there. So since having her, I have had a big oversupply of milk. I think part of it is just genetic, just kind of how it is, and part of it is things that I had been doing that I didn't really realize was causing an oversupply of milk, just because wasn't really super educated on it. Everyone says breastfeeding is like super natural and all that, and it is, but it isn't at the same time. Like, it's definitely been a learning curve for sure. So she, right when she was born, she latched on well, and we never really had any latching issues as far as her being able to latch on and get milk out. Where we've had some issues is with how she's latching, as well as my oversupply. So some of the biggest struggles that I've had, and they're kind of all related to the oversupply. One, I've been getting clogged ducts. I've had a couple of them in just the first month. Nothing that's developed into mastitis. I've been able to get rid of them, but they are uncomfortable, and I keep getting them, and it's annoying because when you get them, it's like kind of a time sensitive thing. You can't just leave it for days and days. You need to be proactive about getting the clogged duct out. So I have been doing a lot of different things. I've been taking, I don't know how it's said, and I'm gonna totally butcher it. I think it's lecithin, I don't know. It's basically a supplement that helps reduce some of like the fattiness in your milk, but not like where it harms them, not where it takes anything away from them. It just helps your milk come out easier, so it's not getting so clogged. I've been doing Epsom salt soaks, heat, massage, using an electric toothbrush on the clogged ducts to try and get them out. And eventually they do come out with pumping and feeding and all that, but it is uncomfortable and annoying for it to keep happening. And I believe that it's pretty much related a lot to my oversupply, as well as her latch. So her latch has been good as far as, like I said, she's been able to get milk out and all that, but the hardest thing has been, she had some neck tightness and stuff when she was first born, and like some issues with her palate. So we went to a baby chiropractor twice, and that helped dramatically as far as her tightness, to help with like her positioning with her latch. And then I've seen 2 lactation consultants, and both of them mentioned that she has a little bit of a lip tie, and so we actually need to go get that consulted to see if they want to do anything about it. I don't know, I feel like kind of on edge about it, just because I feel like every baby's getting diagnosed with a lip and tongue tie, and I'm not saying that babies don't have lip and tongue ties, because some for sure do, but I just feel like this is kind of a more common thing now. Like, you never heard about this years and years ago, at least from what I've heard. So we're gonna go get the consult just to see what they say, and I'm gonna, hopefully it'll be you know, not an issue, and hopefully they won't need to do anything. But if they do, then obviously we'll have that option and, you know, information to further look into. But the reason why the lactation consultant recommended I go get the consult is because on my right breast, I am getting little milk blisters or like sucking blisters, like from friction. And they're just these little tiny white dots on the tip of the nipple, and they are caused by like friction from sucking. And it can be a lot of different things. It could be positioning, latch, but if she's got this lip tie, it could be from that somehow. So we're gonna go get that checked out because it is uncomfortable, and I believe that's another reason why I'm getting these clogged ducts, is because the milk can't get out of these little pores in your nipple, so it keeps getting clogged, and I'm having to use heat to kind of open it up, and it's just annoying. And the lactation consultant said if it doesn't go away, I probably will need to go to a breast specialist to get them lanced open to like let the milk come out. So that has been fun. So I want to talk a little bit more about how I've been managing my oversupply. You guys had some questions about it and asked like what I've been doing. One thing I was doing wrong in the beginning is I was trying to too proactively like pump or use my Haka, which is this little device, which I'll talk about in a second. And I was basically causing too much stimulation on my breast. Like she'd be feeding on one side, I'd be pumping on the other. And I was pumping to relieve pressure, but I was also pumping to, and I would drain my boob completely. And when you drain it, your body thinks you need to fill it back up. So basically my body was thinking that, she has twins because she's getting stimulation on both sides and her breasts are getting completely emptied. So then they just fill right back up. And within like 2.5 hours, I'd just be so full that I would need to do the same thing again. She would have to eat and I would need to relieve the other breast. And so some things I've been doing are letting her eat on both breasts and only pumping or using the Haka to relieve pressure. I love this thing and I still love it even though I was kind of abusing it in the beginning. You just suction it on the other boob and it catches your letdown, but if you're suctioning it on, you're actually stimulating your breast a bit to produce milk because it's applying that suction. And I didn't really realize that in the beginning. I mean, it makes sense, like duh. And so now what I've been doing is during the day, I really don't pump or do anything unless I absolutely need to. But at night when she's going a little bit longer in between feedings, when she wakes up, both boobs are full. I feed her on whatever boob's the most full, and then I just use this to relieve the pressure. And usually I only need to let out like an ounce, maybe 2, and that relieves the pressure, but I'm producing quite a bit on each side. My guess, and I haven't like totally had my boobs completely full where I've pumped and to see how much I'm producing because I've been feeding her and I can't like visually see how much she's eating. But my guess is I'm probably producing about 5 to 6 ounces on each breast, like when they're completely full, because she's eating 3 to 4, and I just use this to like relieve an ounce or 2 during the night when it's super full, because I know if she only feeds on one side, I need to relieve some pressure on the other. As much as I try to let her go back and forth to relieve both breasts and eat from both breasts, sometimes one is sufficient for her. The other struggle that I've been having with having an oversupply is I have a really fast letdown. And I didn't really realize this at first, but when she eats, she was making these gulping noises like gulp, gulp, gulp. And I thought that was just, I'm like, oh, she's getting a lot of milk. She's swallowing. But apparently gulping noises are a sign that you're let down super fast. And it made sense because sometimes she'd pull off the breast right away and all this milk would leak out, and I would, like, my breast would be spraying her or leaking, and or she would start coughing because it was just coming out like too fast. And so some things that I've been working on, one is my oversupply. I've been trying not to cause too much like stimulation unless I need to relieve the pressure. And 2, the lactation consultant said that when I feel my letdown or I know like it's coming, to just kind of apply like a little bit of gentle pressure, like pulling back on the breast a bit to kind of close off those milk ducts just for a second to kind of slow it down. Again, I don't know if every lactation consultant would recommend that, but it does seem to be helping because she was having a lot of reflux-like symptoms. After I'd feed her, she'd be really uncomfortable. She would be spitting up, and since you doing these different things, it seems to help her a lot, and I don't think she has reflux now. At first I was like, she has to have reflux. She's spitting up, she's uncomfortable, but she was just getting too much milk so fast, swallowing a lot of air and different things like that. What are you looking at? And so that has helped with the fast letdown. One other thing that I've been loving, and then I'm gonna answer a couple of your guys' questions, is this Brewer's yeast powder, and I will leave this link down below as well as the link for the Haka. This is one thing that I've been using for my supply. Now I think it kind of seems like contradicting. It's like you have an oversupply, you're trying to cut back. Jeez. But you're also doing things to increase your supply. So basically I've been trying to minimize the stimulation, but I'm still doing things to make sure the supply of milk that I have is healthy and beneficial for her. I've been taking prenatals, I've been drinking a lot of water, and then I've been eating these lactation cookies, and I'll leave the recipe down below. Actually, they're not really cookies, they're like these little protein bites that just have oatmeal, this brewer's yeast, flaxseed that's ground up, just things that are healthy for your milk supply and also can boost your supply. And I have noticed that that does have that effect. They say your milk supply is regulated about 6 weeks, so it's like I'm hesitant to try and cut back on my supply too much until I realize what I'm going to end up with. So I'm doing things to help her so that she's not uncomfortable with the oversupply, but I also want to make sure I do have a good supply for when I go back to work and I have enough milk stored up. Anyways, this is getting very long and rambly. I hope this is helpful for you guys, but I'm going to answer a couple of your guys' questions that you have asked. Someone asked, when did the pain stop and how do you overcome the forceful letdown, which I answered. But the pain, I never really have had a ton of pain, but I do still have some uncomfortableness on my right breast when she latches, and it's because of those little sucking blisters. But I've never, you know, had pain to where like my nipples were cracked or bleeding or anything like that some moms experience. So I would say after like a couple of days, the discomfort was gone, but I still get that latching pain occasionally. And then I still get the uncomfortableness from the fullness when my breasts are too overfull. Another person asked, what did I do the 4 days before my milk came in? I had colostrum, and that is sufficient to feed your baby. Those first couple days, your body should be producing everything that your baby needs. Now I know every mom's different, but for her that was enough. And then someone also asked, how do you know that she's getting enough? So there's a couple different things. The biggest thing is the number of wet and dirty diapers that she's having. So especially once my milk came in, that was never an issue. She was producing, and still is, a ton of wet and dirty diapers throughout the day. So that's how you know they're getting enough. Obviously that combined with their weight gain. She gained 3 pounds in the first month, so she's definitely getting enough. She's in size 2 diapers now. She's in 3 to 6 month clothing. And so you noticed like right away, at least with her, she was gaining weight. I could just tell by how she looked, by things getting tighter on her. I mean, they just grow so quickly. It's like overnight, suddenly you're out of size 1 diapers into size 2. So that was another way that we knew she's getting enough. The hardest part of the process, I think the hardest part so far is when you're breastfeeding, and if you're exclusively breastfeeding, you are the only one that can feed your baby, which is wonderful, and it's such a great bonding experience, but it's just a lot of work and a lot of time. Every feeding you're spending, every baby's different, but she'll feed for about 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes less, sometimes more, and that's several times a day. And if you add up the time commitment, it's a huge time commitment. So that's been the hardest part, as well as just dealing with the oversupply, the plugged ducts, things like that. It's just been kind of a learning process and learning curve. The biggest thing is that she's getting enough, so that's going super well, and I'm thankful for that. Last question, someone asked, have I changed my diet at all while breastfeeding? Does anything upset her tummy? And I don't think anything upsets her tummy. Like the first 2-3 weeks of her breastfeeding, like sometimes she'd be gassy, sometimes she'd seem upset, and I just couldn't figure out, is it something in my breast milk? Is it just her trying to digest my milk? You know, babies' stomachs and digestive system is so fragile and so new that even, you know, your breast milk is, you know, natural and it's from you and all that, it still is a lot on their bodies to try and digest it. And when she hit week 4, it was like a dramatic change. It was like suddenly she wasn't having those issues as much. And so I did not change anything in my diet. And I'm not saying that diet doesn't play a big role in your breast milk and how your baby reacts to certain things. I know some babies are very sensitive to dairy or soy or eggs, things like that in mom's breast milk. For me personally, this is just what I believe. I think that if she's getting it through my breast milk, then hopefully later on in life, like that would help her as far as like not having intolerances. I have no idea if that is even true or whatnot, but if she's not sensitive to something, then I'm not going to change anything in my diet, because what I'm eating is what she's getting. So I've just been trying to eat healthy, drinking lots of water, doing the lactation bites that I'll put the recipe for. So that's, I guess, the only changes I've made is just trying to have a healthy milk supply. I haven't cut anything out of my diet because she hasn't shown sensitivity to anything, and I think it's good for her to get exposed to dairy and things like that if she can tolerate it. So I know every baby's different, every mom's different. That's just my 2 cents and what I believe, but you do you. Whatever you do is going to be the right decision as long as you're making it out of love and being educated. So that is my 2 cents with anything in being a mom. I don't judge you for whatever you want to do because it's your baby. Anyways, I think that's gonna be it because this video is pretty long. That is all the information that I have on breastfeeding at the moment, ATM. I've learned a lot. It's been a struggle, it's been easy, it's been all of the above. It's been a roller coaster, and I'm so glad that it's getting easier every single day. I know a lot of moms have it easier than me. A lot of moms have it way more difficult than me, and it's everyone's journey is different, and just embrace whatever your journey is, because that's your journey, and as long as your baby's healthy and you're healthy, that's all that matters. So that's it. I'm gonna end this video with that. On that note, don't mind my total mom appearance right now. I am just riding out this messy bun, little makeup, wearing lazy clothes the rest of maternity leave. So we're just gonna embrace it. Maybe we'll embrace it for life, huh? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, if you have any more questions, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. And I'll see you in our next video. Bye!